Hey artists, welcome back to the Crafted Caravan. Today we're going to be working on the proportions of the face, drawing guidelines to help us place everything in the correct spots. And even though everyone's face is very different, generally these guidelines are the same for everyone. I'm not wearing my apron today because there's no mess today. All you need is a colored pen and this 2-page worksheet that you can get for free on my website at thecraftedcaravanaz.com. If you're ready, let's jump into it. Once your worksheets are printed out, you can see that they are of famous and influential people. But today we are only going to be tracing over two of these together, the wonderful Maya Angelou and Maggie Smith. Now you're going to need a colorful marker or pen, so go ahead and grab that and we'll get going. Now there's many ways to do this, and we can start with a circle or an oval, but I find that sometimes a little intimidating. So I'm just going to start with some straight lines. We're going to draw a straight line to show where the end of her chin is, and then a straight line to show where the top of her head is. Now, this is the case with a lot of women. They have a lot more hair on top. It's hard to tell where the top of their head starts. So we just kind of follow that line around and we mark it where we think it's at. And now we'll move on to the two sides of the face. So we're going to draw slanted lines because our faces slant inward toward our jawline typically. We'll mark those lines and then we'll just connect. Now the next step is to draw a vertical line dividing the face left and right. So try your best to find the middle. Don't go too fast, especially since we're working with pen, and we're just going to go straight down. And then we're going to find where the pupils are, and we're going to divide the face in half horizontally. Now, this is usually in the middle of the oval, but it might be slightly higher for some people, slightly lower for others, but generally it's in the middle. Now, let's mark the bottom of the nose. That's going to be about halfway between the eye line and the chin. So let's go ahead and draw a straight line across there. And then finally, we're going to mark the opening of the mouth, which is about a third of the way down from the bottom of the nose. So we've got three horizontal lines, one vertical, and now we can start working on some details. Let's go ahead and find the corners of her eyes and mark them, and we're going to outline them, kind of like we're giving her eyeliner or glasses. And typically, again, this is for most people, these are guidelines. We're going to see that there is one eye length between the two eyes. So if I outline her eyes here, there should be about one more eye length between them. And that's how we know how far apart the eyes are. Now, sometimes artists like to imagine that there's also an eye length on either side of the eye. So imagine if I were to draw an eye over here and then one on the other side. I found that it's not always very accurate, so I didn't do it on my example, but you're welcome to if you like. Next, I'm going to mark where her pupils are. So I'll just place a little dot where those are. Now, vertically straight down from her pupils is about where the edges of the mouth are. So I'll draw a vertical line for each, and I can see they line up pretty well. Next, I'm going to find the inner corners of her eyes, and I'm going to draw another vertical line straight down. And what do you know? The edges of her nose line up with those. Now, when it comes to ears, everyone's ears are a little different. They usually will fall somewhere between the top part or the lower part of the eyebrow and then around where the bottom of the nose is. Hers are about where the lowest part of her eyebrow is and go just slightly below her nose line. So I'll go ahead and draw those. And sometimes, like with the next portrait, we can't even see the ears. So we're just going to guess. Now, the neck typically tapers downward from starting at about the ears. We're just going to kind of draw a nice little gradual line, and it can go even past the shoulders, and then the shoulders will come out from there. Now, everyone's hairline starts at a different point on their head. So that's something that's unique, and there's really no guideline for that. So go ahead and trace hers. And you can see that the hair comes above the head, which is very typical for women. Maybe not for people who are bald or have very, very short hair, as you can see on Barack Obama down in the right hand corner, but it will usually have some kind of texture on top. Okay, let's move on to Maggie Smith. Again, let's mark the top, bottom, and sides of her face. And see, I kind of follow that line around, and I'm assuming her head stops about there. I'll make those tapered lines for the sides, and then I will connect. Now, if you remember from the last portrait, the next line we're going to make is the vertical line to split the face between left and right. So go slow and go ahead and draw a line straight down. Now, I actually skipped ahead here and jumped right to her nose, but go ahead and start with her eye line. So go ahead and draw that line straight across her pupils, and you can see that's halfway. About halfway down from that is her nose line, and about a third of the way down from the nose is the opening of the mouth. So go ahead and draw those three horizontal lines. Now I'll go ahead and outline her eyes, give her eyeliner here. And again, if you remember, there's about an eye length between the two eyes. So let's go ahead and draw that. And you can see, it's a little shy here, maybe not a full eye length on either side of her eyes. Now go ahead and mark her pupils and draw a vertical line straight down, and we'll notice that lines up with the two edges of her mouth. And the corners of her eyes line up with the two corners of her nose. As I said before, we're going to have to kind of guess where her ears are because we can't see them, but we can see her eyebrow. And I think we can see a little bit of her ear peeking out here. So again, we're going to assume it's about the height of her eyebrow and then go down to the nose line. And I made that one a little long, so we can shorten that a bit. Now we're going to go ahead and draw where her hair falls. This isn't her hair line like with my Angelou. This is her hair kind of sweeping over her forehead. And people with long hair, you'll get to add that texture on top, and that will give the illusion of there being not just a rounded skull there with hair pasted to it. And go ahead and draw her necklines tapering down from her ears and then her shoulders out from there. Okay, now that we're done, let's go ahead and practice this without tracing. If you're using pencil and paper, make your guideline drawing very light, so don't press hard at all. Let's start the same way by marking the chin, the top of the head, and the sides of the face, dividing it in half, drawing the nose line and the mouth opening line. And for mine, I started with a cyclops eye right in the middle, so I knew where the eyes were going to go on either side. Now, the eyebrows are not really something we talked about, and it's different from person to person. So I like to start mine somewhere around the inner corner of the eye. Now, the reason I said to draw lightly is because now that we have the guideline, I can draw darker on top using a marker or a pen or my pencil and start to just include the lines that I want. But now my drawing is being informed by the guidelines, so things will end up in the correct places. And as you get closer to the final drawing, you can start adding the details that make us all very unique. Things like eyelashes, birthmarks, beards, mustaches, earrings, you name it. Have fun with it. And that's it. I hope you found this lesson informative and helpful. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like and subscribe button below. For more free resources, please visit my website at thecraftedcaravanaz.com. I'll see you next time and keep creating.